the devil lives in what ifs. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for instance, you're going to quit your job. You'll think about the repercussions of this, hopefully, and you'll say, all right, so what if after I quit my job, then I get a new job? And then what if I just don't like that job? And then what if I become homeless because I quit that job and then I don't have a job? And then what if I die? You know, and then it's just snowballs so fast. And obviously that's a bit extreme, but I think you understand what I'm saying. It's you when you start going down what ifs, you start tending to go towards the worst situations. You don't go, what if I quit my job and then I find a new job that I really love, and then I get promoted and I get moved out to my dream state, and then I buy my dream house and I live happily ever after. Usually that's not what's going through your head when you're thinking about making a decision like quitting your job or dropping out of college. As Seneca would say, we suffer more in imagination than reality. And I believe this is true more times than not. And it's when you start living in that what if world where if what if this, then that, then this, and it just snowballs down, and then you never make the decision because you think it's the worst decision that you could ever make because of some crazy obscure 0.001% chance thing happening, that if you quit that's what's going to happen, or if you drop out that's what's going to happen. So you need to be very careful of living in this world of the what ifs. But it's very hard because you do want to have somewhat of a plan and a structure. You don't want to just randomly quit your job or just randomly drop out of college the second it gets hard. I mean, life is hard. Things aren't just gonna come to you super easy. You're gonna have to put some work into achieving your dreams, and anything worth doing is gonna be hard. You have to realize this. But there's a fine line of, this is just hard and this is something I want to do, and this is an obstacle I have to get through, or being, this is not what I want to do. This is just making me miserable for no reason. This is not my path. This is not what God wants me to do. That's two different things. And it's a very fine line, and sometimes it's hard to see if you're really just complaining, or if this is actually a decision that you should make because it's not for you. So be very careful and don't just snowball down the what ifs, but also don't just make decisions and expect everything to work out amazing and everything will be sunshine and rainbows without even thinking about what the repercussions of this decision may be. So don't live in the what ifs too much, but also a little bit where you can at least somewhat plan out your future and you're not just willy-nilly making decisions without thinking about any repercussions that they may have. But if you do start going down the what ifs, I would advise you to tend to lean on the more positive side than negative. Don't snowball down the effect to you being homeless, or you dying, or losing all your friends, or nobody liking you, or you hating your life. Those are just, that's you suffering more in imagination than reality. If you're gonna go down the what ifs, try to go down a more positive route. Like, you'll find your dream job, you'll do something you really like, you'll get a lot of value and purpose out of what you're doing, and your purpose will be found if you do this. Try to go down those things and see how the decisions that you want to make feel. But also the Stoics talk about something called premeditatio mortem, and that's basically realizing what the worst case scenario may be. And like I said, you don't want to live in this world, but if you realize what the worst case scenario may be, and then it happens, you're not as caught off guard by it. You're like, oh, I already anticipated this potentially happening. I know what to do. I know it's not the end of the world, and I knew this was a chance that it may happen. But I believe if you go down the way of expecting the worst thing that can happen, then you also, you want to expect the best thing that can happen. So you kind of have both things. And, in reality, you're probably going to end up somewhere in the middle where it's not the best case scenario, but it's not the worst. And, sometimes you get lucky and you'll end up closer to the best, and sometimes you get unlucky and you end up closer to the worst. But just don't snowball effect down with what ifs, because the devil lives there. And if you do that, you'll never end up making a decision or taking a risk, because everything is risky. And if you never take a risk because you just snowball down what ifs, then you're never going to make anything out of your life.